Yep. No problem. Yes.
Okay.
Please can join us.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pacifica Institute, and welcome Officer Aragon.
Correct.
Okay.
That's good.
So yes, tonight's event is open to children. If that was a question, children are free to be here. Anyway, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Officer Aragon, and then he's going to tell us a little bit about cybersecurity for our kids and families. Officer Aragon has been an Irvine police officer since 2009, working a number of assignments. His current assignment is being a DARE officer in the Youth Services Unit, and he has been working on this assignment for 2 years now, alongside 9 elementary schools, the Irvine Adult Transition School, the Early Childhood Center, and the Early Childhood Center. He primarily teaches the DARE program and has been teaching internet safety to students and parents for the last 2 years to schools, churches, and a variety of community groups. So without further ado, please welcome.
I feel very excited to be here. I actually happened to present this just last night at another church group, and I like it when I have parents. There's starting to become a bigger demand for parents to learn. I know that there was mention that there may be some younger adults or teenagers or children here. That's fine, but understand that everything I cover tonight is going to be about parents. So you guys are going to be bored because you already know about it. Because you're already at the generation. Your generation is a digital native. Us adults, we're digital immigrants. That's what it is. I do have some resources on the back table back there. There are 5 resources. I would like for you, if you're interested, to take one of each, because it's one talking about safety tips for parents. There's one safety tips for children. There's an example of maybe an internet contract, so an internet usage you might want to explore having in your house for the parents' agreement as well as the children. So it looks like a mutual understanding. One of the big themes that I have with this presentation is it is all about communication and opening up those lines of communication with your children. Believe it or not, that's the key. And I will start off this presentation the same way I do with the younger adults and the teenagers I work with. And it's a simple question. Is this on my hip, this item right here, is this dangerous?
Depends on you.
It depends on the user. Is the internet, as a tool, is it dangerous?
Same.
Or is it all depending on the user? Now, we have a generation gap. We have a generation of us adults that started using the internet either as teenagers or as college students or as maybe business professionals already. And we already kind of had that moral compass or road, that expectation of being polite. But the generation behind us doesn't necessarily have that quite yet, because all the parents realize, because they grew up in a way, you make good decisions, you treat people with respect, and never thought about taking the internet and turning it into something that was a little more raw, a little more rash. So there was no conversation with the children. And now the generation coming through kind of finds it to be a playground. It could be a playground of positive, but more often than not, what we hear in the media and what we deal with as officers is kind of a playground of negativity. And that's kind of the things we're going to talk about. I will not be here to claim I know anything and everything about the internet and social media. Because I tell you right now, I just learned something while I was waiting to come in here, and I'm going to go back and research it for tomorrow, because I want to make sure I'm up to date. I want you guys to recognize that this is a conversation that you're going to want to have with your loved ones, with your children, and your community, family members, because it's going to take that village to raise your child. Understand that we never dealt with this growing up. We can't pretend that we did. We can't pretend to know what it's like to be a 15-year-old in 2015, because we're not 15-year-olds in 2015. I typically teach to 6th graders, and I tell them the same thing when I teach the children's version of this, the student version. Just like I can't transplant them as 6th graders to 1993 when I was a 6th grader and expect them to understand what that's like, because they would show up and they wouldn't know what to do. Because when I was in 6th grade in 1993 at lunchtime, I didn't sit in the corner and look at my hands and play on a phone. No, I was playing soccer, I was playing football, I was playing baseball, I was playing tetherball, I was playing tag, freeze tag, hide and seek. I was doing something. Just like if I were to be a 6th grader in 2015, I wouldn't know what to do. And one of the things I want you guys to kind of pick up on is we need to start treating our children, when they get to the point of middle school and high school, as a coworker, to a certain degree. And I want you to keep that in mind, because they're going to say and do things that you disagree with, because you know they know better. But do they know that they know better? Because if they did, would they have made that choice initially? Maybe, maybe not. So the next time you have a conversation about their social media posts or their friends, I want to have my voice pop up in the back of your head and say, act as if this was your boss or your coworker who was supposed to do a part of the project at work and they forgot or they didn't. Do you go storming in and go, now, I told you you needed to get that done. I'm now taking away your computer to your coworkers? No, that wouldn't be the case. You would be very polite, maybe frustrated, but polite, and you would communicate and say, I was really hoping we can garner that partnership because I needed your part of the teamwork. I needed that part so we can get this project moving forward. What can we do to create a solution? Well, that's a whole different approach. No one's yelling, no emotions. Maybe inside you're thinking, oh, this teammate of mine always seems to drop the ball. But we don't really say that to their face. We keep that communication road open. Tonight is all about realizing you are not the expert. And that's a scary world, because as adults, we've been trained and we've gone to school, we've gone to trainings, we've gone to life experiences thinking we know it all. But do we? I'll be the first to tell you, I know I don't. And I research and I stay up to date as much as I can on this subject matter every week. And I work with hundreds of students every week. And I read newspaper articles, and I still don't know it all. There's just too much stuff going on. And to give you a better idea, here is what our youth and the generation behind us looks like when it comes to how the business world sees them. So here's a video that is meant for businesses, but I find it very interesting, and most parents find some pieces very shocking. So let's watch. I'm hoping it'll play. And I'll pause it right there because that's a key question as for parents. Are you ready? Because we're already 5 years too late. We're 5 years behind. The most tech-savvy adult walking in this room right now who wants to have an argument with me about who knows more, a second grader or him or her, I'll put my money on the second grader every time. Because they're digital natives. They are born in a time that it already existed. They already know that math equation. They already know how to use that. We had to build it. We had to learn from it. We had to destroy it and bring it back up. We had to improve upon it. They just know it. They just know it. Equate it back to, as my mom used to say, well, you're lucky you have color television. You're lucky we have a car. Because to that generation behind me, there was a time where there was no car. Buses and walking, bikes, maybe in certain situations, horses. Color television. This is now this generation. They have the power that no other generation's ever had. Instantaneous information. I joke when I talk to my sixth graders about how there's these things called a library, where they have these shelves full of things called books. And they giggle when I say, Google that word and you'll find out what it is. But typically, if you take two hard pieces of leather, put pages, that's paper, with written words and ideas, thoughts. That's how you used to do research. You would go to an index card called the Dewey Decimal System to find something, hope it was the right book, to then walk to a shelf to find that book, go to the table of contents or the index or the glossary, find what page you got to go to, which chapter to go to then read the whole chapter and hope that's what you were looking for. And that would take minutes, if you're lucky. Hours, if you're lucky. Maybe even days or years for us, for those of us who were in college where the Google search didn't exist, because there was a time it didn't. We are behind the times, and if you think you know more than your kids, you're sadly mistaken. So let's go through some things. Because we are not the digital natives, we are digital immigrants. Today we're going to cover a handful of things. So the talking points. Some of these things you're going to know. One, you've already had an experience at home, or a family member has. Some things you haven't had a chance to think about. Today is all about opening up our minds and thinking, I did not know about that, or, I heard about that, but that doesn't really exist, right? So we're going to talk about what's on your child's phone, the internet and social media usage from the child's standpoint, what you should be concerned about as a parent and adult, trends that are in the schools, not here, just Irvine, across the globe. But I can speak to firsthand knowledge of here in Irvine. How children access the internet and social media, some of those things you're going to think are kind of boring, because you go, obviously, Officer Aragon, that's how they accessed it. But there are times and there are certain elements that you may not realize. Tips and tactics, resources, and then the bulk of today should be on your questions. And with that said, if you ever have a question, don't be shy. This is open conversation, because when you give me the what ifs, I'm going to say, so what if? How can we create a solution? Because I guarantee you, with all the bodies in this class, in this room right now, somebody has that same question and someone may already have the answer, and we can have an open forum discussion about it. So what do you see on your child's phone, laptop, tablet, or more importantly, what do you see on yours? Because I know none of you are guilty of this. Annoying teenager or son or daughter, and all of a sudden you're like, just take it and leave me alone. Who's guilty of that? And they already know the password, or you typed in the password so they can download whatever they want. Now there's a lot of things that popped up on here. This is mostly social media. As a matter of fact, everything you see on here is social media. But I know there's some children in the audience, and they're thinking, there's no way that Minecraft, Candy Crush, Angry Birds, Words with Friends, and Clash of Clans can be social media. Well, for parents that don't know, on all of these apps, and most all gaming apps now, there's an element of conversation that you can have with a complete stranger. Direct messages, chat rooms, instant messages, and other type of elements. That went from being a game to now just being a platform to get children to speak to other people, adults to speak to other people. Now, if there is an age requirement to play a game and there's a maximum age limit, that could possibly be a solution to any concerns. But just like the teenagers and the soon-to-be teenagers in the room, when they were not old enough to get into Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram, they found out that you have to be at least 13. And fortunately and unfortunately, our teachers do a great job in teaching arithmetic. And they said, 2015 minus 13 puts me in 2002. Well, I'll say I was born in 2001. And now Instagram is open to their access. And what they don't realize is there's a whole terms and agreement they don't read. None of us ever read. We check mark the box and say, okay. And we're more focused on making sure our screen name is still our screen name. We get very possessive of our screen name. One thing I do want to point out is this little guy right here. Anybody know what that is? Snapchat. You guys know what Snapchat is? Snapchat was a genius marketing app. The technology is not new. The technology is kind of boring and dull. They just had one small twist. They claimed it disappeared. Videos and photos. Start off with just photos. It could only exist for 5, or at the time it was 1 to 10 seconds. And then they turned into videos 1 to 10 seconds. But then you can screenshot it, which means capture what your screen sees on your phone. It used to not even give the person who sent you the video or the photograph a heads up. Now it gives a heads up. Now imagine, if you will, teenagers, the idea of videos and photographs sent to whoever they want, and it disappears forever. Do we have a combination that has some potential hazards? As you can imagine, yes. And unfortunately, we started seeing this in the schools because screenshots were popping up. And
Okay, so it really disappear forever because most
No, it does
of
not.
the internet is there forever.
Nothing disappears on the internet, actually. Everything has a digital footprint or fingerprint, or has a shadow or resume. You can use many different ways of describing it. As a matter of fact, Snapchat themselves archive every single video and photo ever sent ever. So the moment I have an investigation that deals with a crime, I just contact them, give them my information, my report number, and they don't want to be on the police bad side. They want to be on the good side. They want to represent a wholesome, high-integrity filled company, and they will be willing to share everything they can to me because as an officer, I need to investigate a crime. And they do, which usually leads to other crimes. Now, another thing they don't realize is the moment you download that app, even though you delete it, it's a file hidden on your phone or tablet, even after you delete it. So a crime happens, I take your phone as evidence, I download it, and all those things that you thought disappeared never did. They're still accessible to a forensic computer scientist. They're there forever. Not only that, but they are there with the time, date, and location of when you did receive or take that video or photograph, and then who you sent it to, and when they received it. So then it's a chase. I now just start grabbing more and more phones, downloading the information, more and more phones, more information, and things trickle very quickly. The idea behind Snapchat is genius from a business standpoint, and it was given to the students of our generation, of the generation behind us, as a lie, that it disappears. When in fact, nothing disappears. Maybe our computer finally froze out. Here we go. So how many users are actually on social media really? For parents, this may be a little alarming to the students. They probably think, your numbers are a little low, Officer Aragon, do some more updates. And I'm probably right. I know that Facebook's last update I read was closer to 1.4 billion. And in that video we saw that if Facebook was a country, it would be the most populated country on this planet. But as you see that these other ones pop up, these are just the most named brands. It doesn't capture these smaller brands that only have just a measly 2 or 3 million people. I mean, come on, it's just 2 or 3 million people. There's no problem there, right? These are just the big brands that have gotten a lot of time on the news, time in our world. And in all reality, Facebook, the king of the castle right now when it comes to social media, they're buying up a lot of their competitors because they want to be the next Google or the next Yahoo. And as a matter of fact, they're probably making some strides where they might be bigger than a couple of those. So who uses social media? When it comes to teenagers, I would have to say that this little graphic isn't quite accurate because I deal with 6th graders mostly. None of those 6th graders are 13 years old. Most all social media websites are 13 years and older. When I ask this question out of a 35-person class, maybe 2 hands don't go up. Maybe. So if you think about 11-year-olds, and this is saying teenagers, 9 out of 10, I bet that statistic is probably closer to 9.5, if not higher, out of 10. And social is mobile. This may not be a secret to anyone, but it may not click in your brain on what that means. Understand, as teenagers, we are faced with the idea of wanting to fit in. We want to fit in. As a matter of fact, as humans, we want to fit in. We're pack animals. We're born into a pack. Mother, father, brother, sister, grandparents. We want that comfort. And then when we get to our adolescence, all of a sudden we're like, I don't like those people. I don't like those people. I love you. I just don't like you. And they start to break away. And they start to find these social circles. Now, when we were growing up, our social circles usually surrounded by a hobby. Art, music, reading, chess, sports, academics, certain goals, religions. We all kind of just circled up based on things that we liked and grouped up. Well, there's now a generation that doesn't necessarily need to have those exterior things. As a matter of fact, let's say they want to be an athlete and they want to be an artist. Well, instead of having to navigate those weird roads that we did, where it's like, yeah, I play baseball and I'm a drummer. People go, how do you do that? And you just figured it out. Well, I just like both things. Well, now they can just create multiple accounts. I have my athlete account, I have my art account, and I have the account no one knows about because that's when I hang out with all those people that do bad things and have bad reputations. So when you get upset with your son or daughter or your children, or as an administrator, or as a teacher, or as an officer, when we come into their world and say, you know what, you made a mistake, I'm taking this from you. You have to earn it back. To you and to me, this is just an electronic device of communication. To a teenager or an adolescent, you just took away their whole social network outside of the house. The generation behind us doesn't understand how to do simple things. As a matter of fact, there are many universities in this country right now that have to start teaching incoming freshmen simple social skills. Lesson 1. Hi, my name is Matt Aragon. How are you today? And what was your name? Nice to meet you. Because that no longer is a skill set they possess walking into interviews at colleges, scholarships, and jobs. Eye contact, handshake that's firm, not clammy, not too soft, not too hard, not too inappropriately long or not too inappropriately short. Announcing who they are, waiting for them to reciprocate. That is now an introductory class to college. Because we have a generation that does this all day. What's up? Yeah, hold on. They've lost a basic understanding of how to communicate. Eye contact, body language, tone of voice. I love having conversations with 6th graders because we'll talk about, there's a whole chapter in the program that I teach about nonverbal communication skills, facial expressions, tone of voice, the things that don't have words connected to them, but just sounds and what we look like. And they're like, whoa, Officer Aragon, well, there's emojis. Emojis count, right? And I turn around and I write on the whiteboard a big smiley face and the marker, and I'm like, what does that tell you? Well, you're happy. Am I happy? Or is it just an image? That generation sees it as body language. There's no body connected to it. It's a screen where someone put in a little digital code that says, yellow face, black eyes with a big grin. To them, that makes sense. To us, we're dinosaurs. We're like, what? What do you mean? So when we say social is mobile, understand that the generation behind us thinks everything surrounds that device. When we punish, when we put in a consequence, when we start to make some standards and guidance, when we take that world away from them, it wasn't just that toy or that device. They no longer have the skill set to go out and play. They don't have the skill set to go into class and still feel accepted. As a matter of fact, they're kind of embarrassed, ashamed. So when we start talking about the next things on the program, realize when we step in as adults, acting like adults with an item that we don't understand, we didn't grow up with, that little drop of water into their bucket creates bigger waves than we would ever anticipate. My biggest fear growing up, taking baseball away from me. Please don't take baseball or my bike. Those are my 2 Achilles heels when I was in middle school. If you take one of those 2 things away from me, I knew I messed up bad. If you were taking my TV away, I'd have been like, When asked in 2013, teenagers and adolescents, their favorite social media site, if they could only choose one, just one at that time, this is what the statistics came up. I'm sure you've heard of this, and you may have heard about that. But by raise of hands, how many of you guys heard of Tumblr?
What's that?
4 or 5 of you. And yet, during this month, at this time, with this group, #1 choice. And that's interesting to me, and it should be interesting to you. It's a sign of the times that there are these fads that come and go super quick. This is an anomaly right now. Somehow they've jumped the shark, as they say in the movie industry or the TV show industry. They somehow keep reinventing their wheel just a little bit to keep us attached. And not only that, to keep the generation, which is my age group, that created it and kind of fell in love with it in college, and start expanding out to generations ahead and behind. And they're doing that now by buying up these fads and these fads. So there are going to be some apps and some websites that pop up, and they shoot up like a rocket, super popular. 6 months later, never heard of them. Either they get bought out, something bad happens and their brand name gets dragged into it, or boring. I'm over it. Not cool. Now when it comes to concerns, there's a lot of information that I can find about every single one of you. As a matter of fact, right now in this room, because you have your phones with you, I can go to an open space internet website or app, and I can see where you guys are sitting in this class for free. And I am not saying because I have super spy, decoder, officer ring that tells me what website to go to. I simply put in a Google search, tracking. Tracking a cell phone. Tracking a Twitter user. Find a user. Simple keywords that now take you to a resource like geosocialfootprint.com, and you literally could type in Twitter name. And I can see the last 200 locations you were at when you tweeted something on a Google map with addresses. And it's got a heat sensor to it, so if you're at home and you do a lot of tweeting there, that area above your house on that map is going to glow red. So now I know where you're from.
That's bad.
And then if you go to the favorite Starbucks and you're standing in line and you want to complain about that Starbucks in the long line, even though you chose to go there at the same time everyone else chose to go there, it'll glow maybe yellow because you go there maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And school, and work, and mall. Now, as an officer, that's a great tool if I'm trying to find someone. And that's open for the world to find. Is everyone out there trustworthy? Do we have concerns of people out there that may try to inflict harm on you, your family, your property, your loved ones? And what kids don't realize, because they don't read the 60 pages, just like we didn't read the 60 pages, is that all of that information is sold to whoever wants it. Facebook isn't free, it's a barter. You barter all of your personal information and everything you do for that company to turn around and sell to whoever wants it. That's how they became so powerful and how they now have the clout to start buying up these other social media websites. Yes?
I have a niece who travels 172 days a year, runs marathons, and does everything.
She lives online.
And she even goes for food porn and all this stuff. What she was when her husband was in Afghanistan. And I'm like breaking out in hives because to me it's like, here's an invitation to be robbed. And
Yes,
how do you
travelers.
get somebody
Yeah.
to like calm it down?
Well, there's just a lot of etiquette. One of the great things is this has been going on for about 10, 12 years. We're not infants anymore with this issue. We're out of infancy, we're getting into adolescence of the problem, which means adults are starting to recognize there's a problem, we start looking for solutions, and when we start seeing problems, companies don't want to lose their business. So then they start initiating solutions. Now they're not going to give the full wazoo fix. Of course not. They're going to spoon feed us the fix, because the longer they can draw it out, the more money they can make. The more money they can sell, the more things that they can do to make sure that their business is still top of mind, top of business. So when we talk about sharing and oversharing and constantly sharing and living your life online where you don't even actually see the world through your own eyes anymore, you see the world through the camera lens of a phone, are you missing out on things? Are you setting yourself up for failure? I've gone to houses where there's been a robbery, a theft, because their children advertise that spring break they're going for Hawaii for 7 days. And understand that teenagers don't realize this. They don't see the connection between friends, family, and online friends. What they see and what they want is numbers. I want more followers. I got to be a part of the 1,000 follower club, the 1,000 friend club, the 5,000, the 6,000, the 10,000 club. Because the more followers I have, the more popular I am, which means obviously I am fitting in. Social media leverages the idea and the desire of wanting to fit in. So, hanging out at the airport in Orange County or LAX on Friday night, right before spring break, hashtag aloha, checking in Orange County, Santa Ana International Airport, or LAX. Land in Honolulu, hashtag aloha, this is so boring, I'm so tired, red eyes aren't fun. Jet lag. Picture of LA, picture of this. 7 days of awesome coming up. But they just advertise. Now, if it was just you and your family, and maybe your daughter or son's close friends and their family members, do we have anything to worry about if we share that information? If we were to share this information with our actual family members, like students do we have a concern?
Vested.
Very, very small, minimal, right? But it's not the reality. Their idea is, well, my bestie, Michelle, she is friends with this guy, so obviously he's cool, obviously he's trustworthy, and obviously I need to have him as my friend. And then because that guy has a cousin, well, obviously we're pretty much related at this point. I mean, my best friend's friend, cousin, we're brother and sister at this point, right? So it turns into friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a neighbor of that dog who has a pet hamster who has a really cute emoji or a profile picture. So obviously, I need them to follow me because that now gives me 1,200 followers. And last time I checked in at lunch, I was the lowest one in my circle. I need to get my numbers higher. But what they don't realize, and this conversation I have with them, is the friend of the friend of the friend of the neighbor that has a dog that has that cute hamster with that profile picture that's so cool. That's an adult pretending to be a 15-year-old girl or boy. They didn't ask that question. They didn't think about that. They don't care about that. They're so focused on fitting in, it was just a number to them. Check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. Yes! I have 10 more friends today. I'm now getting more popular. So when they checked in at the hotel in Hawaii, that person is a criminal. And that criminal now knows where you live because you check in all the time at home. They just put it in Google, drive over. They know you're gone for 7 days, 5 days, 3 days, 2 years, months on end if you're traveling as a businessman or woman. Or maybe you leave semester at sea or semester abroad. Take whatever they want. No one knows any different. Then they come back, everything's gone. And they call me. And I'm not kidding, I've had this conversation a couple times. Meeting dad, everything's gone. Tablets, cars, computers, everything is gone. There's been a party in the house, it's been ransacked. And I'm like, okay, so where'd you go on vacation? And your eyes get super big. What do you mean? Where? Obviously, you guys went on vacation for what? A week? 2 weeks? Europe, Caribbean, or Hawaii? Where'd you go? How do you know that? Well, you probably have, what, 2 teenage daughters or a daughter and a son? Did you already know about my robbery at this house, officer? No. Let me guess. Teenage daughter was bored at the airport and was wanting to talk to her friends before they go on the flight. She was really excited about the trip. And you couldn't draw that phone out of her hand if you gave her $1 million because she didn't even hear you offer that. Yeah. And let me guess. She's a freshman in high school? Yeah. So she's probably got 2,000 followers or friends? I don't know. What is that? So when I had that conversation with them, they realized, now we have 2,000 leads for me to investigate. Thanks. Appreciate that. They don't see that connection. When we start talking about this information, they don't realize how quick and easy and accessible it is. And they really, most parents don't know this either, when those websites and those apps just sell it off to whoever wants it, I'm literally telling you, they'll sell it off to whoever wants it. Money is money to them. Yeah. They have no disregard to making money from a criminal just as much as a business that's a business. So in school, things that I deal with, some of this stuff you're not going to be shocked at. But when it comes to this point, it is a little shocking. Because of Snapchat, Instagram Direct, Skype, other things, I just found out about Periscope this evening, these two elements are an issue. In California, we have 3 laws against nude photographs of children under the age of 18. So anyone under the age of 18, photographs or videos is creation, distribution, and possession of child pornography. These are all felonies, 3 different felonies. And the conversation I have with the students is that they don't realize that. They just know they fell in love. I'm a sophomore in high school and fell in love with this girl. She loves me so much. We would do anything for each other. Romeo and Juliet would be jealous about how much love we have. I mean, I've known her for 2 weeks, and it can't get any better. We are soulmates of soulmates of soulmates of soulmates of soulmates. Right? Teenagers love, right? You guys remember? Don't act like you're too cool or not if you don't remember that. We were all guilty of it. We fall in love. And unfortunately, technology is happening at such a rapid pace. Girls, boys are being pressured by other girls and boys to act in ways that they would not normally do. And because of Snapchat, because of direct messages, and because of Skype and all these other technologies, they assume no one will ever know. That's what they're told. Why would anyone lie to them? So they act out in ways when they are persuaded, pressured to do so. Well, when I talk about these 2 bullet points, it's real fun in a certain sense because I'm an adult officer talking about nude photographs to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds who don't like talking about that to any adult ever, so they start squirming in their seats. And they don't really see how there's a problem until I bring up their future. The day that I am introduced to that photograph of their naked body, and as an officer, I know that's a felony and I cannot walk away. And I have to start investigating it. So I grab your phone, your phone, your phone, your phone, and everyone else's phone that's connected from that digital footprint, and I start arresting people, all of them, for felony crimes. And what they don't realize is when you want to get a scholarship and you have a felony on your record, you don't get that scholarship. When you want to go to a public university, you can't get in, no matter how smart you are, because they don't accept felons into the university system. But don't worry, you can get a great career working at McDonald's, except for they don't hire people with felons on their record. Relax, Walmart greeters, you can't work for Walmart either. So that one photograph when you're 15 years old, because you're in love and you trust each other, this will just be me and you, baby. Baby, just send me a picture. If you send one, I'll send one. It'll be okay. That one photo, that one video, whatever it is, just shut down all those future endeavors. And the advice I give my 6th, 7th, 8th, and then high schoolers is if you really do find your soulmate of all soulmates that Romeo and Juliet would literally be jealous of, then he or she should be in love with your future. What you desire to become, what your goals are, who you are now, and everything you want to become. That's someone who loves you. And the moment they ask you for that photo or video, that is a sign that they don't love you. Because they know that'll potentially shut down all those doors of what you want to become, who you want to strive to become, everything you aspire to be. Because if that photo, that video makes its way to a teacher, a parent, an officer, a doctor, anyone else, you can't turn a blind eye. And if they still don't get it, I ask them, would you ever want to find a picture of your parents naked when you type their name into Google? And that freaks them out. Because potentially that's there. You're going to be a mother or father one day, and your kid's going to know what the next version of Google is, and they're going to type your name in. And if the first thing pops up is you naked at 15, how do you explain that? That's usually where it kind of starts home. Because when I say, do you want to find a naked picture of your mother or father, they usually go, oh, no, why would you even say that? And I'm like, it's exactly the reason. Password sharing is something that more girls than guys do at a younger age. It's not a concern until best friends, and ladies, I know you've never done this, so just kind of go along with me here. You are in middle school, Jennifer and Sally, best friends forever. They're besties or biffles. Michelle's mom said she can't have social media. Sally's mom never said she couldn't, or that she could, which obviously means you can. So they create one together. Because it's not technically Michelle's, it's technically Sally's. Even though they know it and they have the password together. And then a few weeks or months or years later, as they are best friends, they will never ever not be best friends until what is introduced? A boy. And that boy is cute and funny, and both Sally and Michelle like this boy. So, of course, there's a little competition. So Sally and this boy seem to hang out a little more than Michelle and this boy do. So Michelle logs into that account, changes the password, and has freedom reign on everything that was ever posted to go back and destroy, recreate, and do whatever. That is the hazard that we deal with. Suicide attempted and completed. When I worked patrol for the 4.5 years that I did, when I dealt with college, high school age students, 8 to 8.5 out of 10 times, if there was a completed or an attempted suicide, and I talked to that age group or found that note, internet, social media was listed on why. Cyberbullying. Hate page and cyber slamming, kind of losing its popularity in Irvine, but you should be aware of. Ask.fm is the main one now. Basically, there are these web pages out there where you could sign anything. You could just put a picture of yourself, picture of me right now, and I write, how do I look tonight? And these students assume that people are going to be like, you look amazing! I love how that blue brings the brown out of your eyes. That is spectacular. But is that what happens? They open up Pandora's box to anyone who wants to try to anger them, frustrate them. The best way I can kind of associate it back to parents is, I remember when I was a kid, sitting in the back seat on a long road trip, my sister and I, we would do this game. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. He's breathing on me! Mom, she's looking at me! Well, this is kind of what it turned into. Now it's on a webpage of anonymous people just saying, you're ugly, you're fat, I hate you, your hair's stupid, your eyes are ugly. And it's just constant negative attention. And unfortunately, children can't pull themselves away from it. Because they're waiting for that one person to be like, I really like that dress. But out of the 40,000 comments, you might have one person, and it was your sister or your brother or your bestie that came on and said, oh, I found it, I'll write something, hold on. The dress is beautiful. And then everyone starts attacking that person. That's the reality of some of the things that are out there. One of my favorite new creations, not that I created it because I would not be an officer if I did, I would be retired already, is a vault app. Anybody ever heard of a vault app? Raise hands. Good, you guys will hate me after this. You're going to hate me. And then multiple accounts on the same page. So if you have a student or a son or daughter, you're thinking, what is this officer talking about? I'm on her Twitter account. I'm on his Instagram account. They always just post super positive things like, check out how many vegetables I ate today. Hashtag veggies are good. What is he talking about? Doesn't make any sense. My son or daughter only has about 15 or 20 family members and friends on that account. Obviously, my son or daughter is smart enough to get out of that trouble. Hate to break it to you. Smart enough to trick you because they have another account with a different name and all their actual friends and all the people they actually hang out with and all the people you don't want to know they hang out with and all the activity they're doing is on that account name. Be aware that that is very common. Whenever I'm done with a cyberbullying investigation or suicide investigation or any sort of thing within the school, I say, okay, what's your screen name? Perfect. What's your real screen name? Well, Officer Aragon, I would never lie to you. What's your real screen name? Because I just checked your page and there's 12 people. I've never met an 11-year-old that has 12 only friends. There are 35 people in this class alone. Come on. Give it up. And they do. Because they know it's a serious situation when I'm involved. Don't be fooled. They truly do not have an understanding of how what they say and do today, right now, last week, when they checked in, when they got here, what they're saying right now, in this lecture, and this presentation, how it changes everything in their future. To become a police officer in California, speaking firsthand, they researched my background to age 13, 7th grade. That's becoming the norm for professions, schools, careers. These kids are lying about being 13 and creating these accounts. They're 11, they're 10, they're 9. They're still held accountable because it comes across as if you are 13. What you hashtag today, what you like today, what you think is funny or clever today, 10 years from now, I doubt you'll be proud of. Language, slang, jargon, and our culture changes so rapidly. There were things that were openly on television and movies, said in the classroom, presented in halls like this, when I was a teenager, that if I were to utter it right now, I would offend, and it would be considered hate language. Imagine if you hashtagged that when you were 15 in 2015, and now it's 2025, and what you hashtagged then, normal everyday phrase is turned into hate language, and you're interviewing to become a doctor, a lawyer, med school, an officer, teacher. How do you defend that in an interview? Everything is tracked and traced, and that is where a lot of things are getting scary for this generation. College scholarships, university, military, careers. You have a digital footprint, all of us do. The difference is when you're a kid, you're a little more reactive. You're not thinking forward. As an adult, we've probably figured most of our issues out. We're on our way in our path when it comes to our career in life. So let's get to the Vault apps, because I know this is going to drive you guys crazy, and you're going to hate that I introduced it to you, but it's important to know about them. I didn't create them, so don't hate me. Here is what a Vault app is. Go ahead and read the screen in your head. I want you to pay attention to the language and tell me if that's an application that's targeted towards adults, professional adults, or maybe teenagers. Keep that answer in your mind, and let me drop this unfortunate reality on you. That is not my quote. That quote comes from the Apple iTunes Store. If you type in Vault apps, this is what pops up. Apple iTunes Store. So let's dissect this a little bit. First and foremost, you're going to start seeing grammatical errors and inconsistencies. Very much not a professional thing. Apple iTunes Store makes billions of dollars a year. They have the ability to check on their computer grammar and spell check. They are choosing to ignore standard punctuation and word choice. Let's face it, hyphen, 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 turn it into 3 white hyphen. You don't do that. So are we targeting businessmen and women and adults, or are we targeting teenagers? Continuing on. We all have stuff on our phones we'd like to keep to ourselves, like pics. Not photographs or pictures and list them. The word like is brought in there, and the word picture slams down to pics. Who are we talking to? Adults or teenagers? Because like for sure. All right, videos, and by trade name, Facebook messages. Not social media messages, not direct messages, not text messages, by a branded name and the word messages. But how can we protect them with someone attempts to access them and read our phones? That is one sentence, folks. That is a illiterate, punctual issue, grammatical issue, slang, turned into a run-on sentence all the way there to a question. Are we talking to adults, or are we talking to kids? Vault makes it easy to fully control your privacy. And if you don't believe me, because I get it, I look like a liar. Well, here's some icons. And as these icons kind of pop up, you tell me in your mind, do you think a kid finds those attractive? Yeah, not really. I mean, the concept's nice. All of us, I know I personally have information on my phone that I would like to maybe add another layer of security to. Credit card information, passwords, maybe certain emails related to work that are sensitive. I'm an officer, I deal with sensitive situations. Adding another layer of passwords would be awesome. This looks like a professional thing, right? You're starting to get a little questionable down here. You don't know what those are. What they qualify as Vault apps if you go on the iTunes Store. But unfortunately, that's the minority. And now these things that are popping up on the screen, you're probably like, this officer has no idea what he's talking about. Calculators just popped up. That guy's an idiot. Now, these Vault apps, all of them, including this one, I named her Lily. Those are very inconspicuous apps that as an adult you would see them and think, math homework, math homework, math homework. Ah, 3 of them. I love how my son or daughter is so smart. They have 3 different versions of a calculator. That's awesome. That's a game, that's a game, that's the photo bucket. That's Instagram. That's a photo editing program, and that's a game. There's a key right there in the lizard's tail, if you didn't see it. And right here, there's a watermark that's a lock. Here, this has got a slanted angle, and it's shaded just a little grayer. Creates a shadow. Very similar to shadow, shadow, pinwheels. Looks almost exactly like the new iPhone picture app. Calculator with a lock hidden in it. Can't see that one at all. This one's got a question mark in it. And you're thinking, Officer Aragon, what are you going to show us? Well, a vault app. Hide your photos and videos behind a working calculator. Yeah. And then when you walk in the room, they type on the calculator and you go, what are you doing? I just did some math. You have your English book open. Let's take it outside the room. Let me see that. You take it out of their hand, you start typing in things, 2 + 2, 5 × 5. It all works. You get scared? It gets worse. Now there are vault apps that are getting very high tech. So let's walk through this one. It costs $2, by the way. Full protection, a discrete icon with a functional calculator. Kind of showed you that one already, right? This one, if you're forcing my son or daughter, I come up on them and be like, what is that? Let me see that. That's a vault app. I know what's going on here. Type it in. They reverse their code. All those pictures still disappear, and they pull up photos from a bucket they've designated as acceptable. And you think, ha ha ha, I'm on to you. And then back of their head, they're like, you have no idea. You walk in, and all of a sudden, they're like, ugh. You set up a shake, a flip, a drop, a warp, and it'll just flip over into an app. Maybe it's Angry Birds that'll open up. Or they do a pattern lock system. So instead of just doing your 4-digit number, the numbers don't matter anymore. You may think it's number oriented, but it's the pattern to which they're moving their hand. Some of them are multiple patterns. And then if you do happen to break into their phone to check on them, they have an email system set up to where it takes a video or photograph of you invading them and their privacy, what they think is their privacy. So now they know. And then they can log into that email account from a tablet, a desktop, a laptop, and do a self-destruct. And everything in that will just disappear. You won't access it, they won't access it, it's gone. Concerning? It gets worse. Now create a fake vault, so that now that you have found out they do have a real vault, you put this app, and now you have to figure out which of the 3 is the vault, and which of those 3 keypads is the first password you have to figure out. So you decide to select C, type in the password. Yeah, that's not even a real vault. It just doesn't work. And you get kicked out. So you have to figure out of the 3, which one's real. Hope that you know that password. Good, you got past that system. Now you have to hope that you know this password. And if you do the reverse version of it, oops, you're seeing the decoy. And then when you finally break through, they just got an email alerting them that, and a picture of you, they can log in and destroy itself. Now, if this was presented in a way to an audience of businessmen and women, doctors, lawyers, judges, professionals, isn't this some of the coolest thing ever to help protect your business, to help protect your integrity, help protect your patents and trademarks, sensitive materials? Amazing, right?
But it's destroying everything.
But when we back up and we reevaluate that quote from Apple iTunes, are they targeting professionals? No, they are. It's a challenge out there. I don't think you're going to like me very much, but I'm giving you the tools and the awareness. This is not going to shock you, so I'm going to cruise through to the point where most parents don't realize it. Right there. PlayStation and Xbox 10, 15 years ago started connecting like computers to each other, which is awesome. If you like to play video games, instead of just you and your 2 buddies or your family with you, you can now play with teams across the world. Except for now, you can play with teams across the world. And I know no parent with a son who plays Call of Duty has ever stumbled across this. Foul language, yelling, screaming, and utter craziness because they have a headset on and they're playing a game. That's not real. That doesn't happen, I know. But it does. And boys find themselves wanting to be tougher, bigger, stronger than the next. Especially when you think that person is 4,000 miles away and you're just yelling at each other over a microphone. But what people don't realize is it's not very hard to take a screen name on Xbox or PlayStation and the IP address of that location. You type in that IP address into a free use website that turns it into longitude, latitude. You take the longitude and latitude, you put it on Google Maps, and it goes and drops a pin right on your house.
Awesome.
So while your son or daughter are cussing, screaming, and yelling, and divulging where they live, on accident or on purpose, angering that person they don't know, they just need to find a screen name and an IP address, and then just use Google. That is potential hazard. We'll skip that video. It's just a silly video. So parents, I need you to understand that you are the parent. I know you know that, but I need you to know that you are the parent and have the right to control every aspect. I can't make this word any more obvious. All caps. Every aspect, bold, underline. Every aspect of your child's online activity. Everything. Giving them access to it is a privilege, not a right. They have no rights. They're not 18. They wish they did. They think they do. You give them the opportunity to have that perception. The reality is, your child has 0. Nada. Nothing. Rights of privacy. They are not an adult in the United States. Everything you say in your house is their constitution. You tell them no, they say, well, I don't care. You should, because that's your constitution. As long as you provide food, water, shelter, access to medical when needed, medical and school services when needed, that's all you're dedicated to do. As a matter of fact, if you give them half a gallon of water a day, some bread and some peanut butter, that covers water and food. You give them some clothing and a place to sleep. Not a bed, just a place to sleep. When it's reasonably warm or cool, make sure they go to school and make sure they can get to doctors when needed. That's all you need to do. They don't need doors on their bedroom. They don't need beds in their bedroom. They don't need TVs. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I back-talked my mom. I said this to her. You know what, Mom? You're getting on my nerves. When I came home from school the next day, I had nothing in my bedroom. I have no idea where she put it. Because I had bunk beds. I have no idea where bunk beds disappeared to. No posters, no dresser, no clothing, nothing. I don't know where she put it in the house. We didn't have a big house. It went somewhere. And I was allotted my t-shirt, underwear, socks, shoes, and shorts every morning. Oh, by the way, my door was gone. I had no door. Gone. When I came home from school, I couldn't say anything to anyone. I had to go straight to my bedroom with nothing but carpet and the blinds. My peanut butter jelly, apple, and glass of water were sitting there waiting for me. That was my dinner. I was told to do my homework. I had to ask permission to use the restroom. I was told when I was going to shower, and I was told how long I had to go back. And I had to earn every poster, every pillow, every t-shirt back. And it took about 2 weeks before I realized my error of ways. Do not think that's child abuse. It is not. In the state of California, awesome. Way to be a hard-nosed parent. Obviously, he needs to learn the lesson. It is okay. Will you be the most favorite parent on the block? Probably not. No matter how smart and savvy you think you are 3 to 5 years behind your child's knowledge of internet, social media, and technology. Know what apps are on your child's phone, tablet, computer, and double check yours. Know what your child does and says, posts and visits online. So we're coming down, you guys want a picture of that? I see pictures. Understand this is something we don't realize. A lot of parents don't understand that. And it's because there's a fear, like, well, I don't want my child to be angry at me. I don't want my child to be upset. I don't want my child to throw a fit and have to deal with the drama. I get that. But because I get called to those houses when they don't take care of it, and I have to become the parent for the moment. And I got to deal with the drama. I get that. Are we good with this? Here are some tips and tactics from the American Academy of Pediatrics. So this is not me This is from an actual accredited academy. First tip they give is to immerse yourself. Understand when you immerse yourself, don't be the embarrassing mom or dad, because they can quickly block you. Or as now Facebook and everybody else does, you can create such a specific profile of things that they can just select if you can or can't see it, and you'll never know. Take the opportunity to see that window open, even though it's open just this much, and peer through it. And instead of attacking them when you see something that you don't agree with, accusing them, remember what I said about when you get upset at that coworker. Hey, I'm really concerned about what was said between Johnny and Michelle. And you just seem to chime in. Is there something I should be concerned about? No, leave me alone. Get out of my business. Okay. But just be aware, everything you say and do is tracked. Everything you say and do can be found by someone. I just want to make sure everything's okay. Are you okay? Is your friend Michelle okay? Is your friend Johnny okay? Does there need to be an adult involved, or should I just hang out and be here ready for you when you need it? Open up those lines of communication. Try your best. But if you come over and be like, how dare you embarrass this family with that comment and those hashtags and photos? They're going to be like, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. I just erased it because they just blocked you, so you don't ever see it anymore. Be a model. If you are that trendy mom and dad that can't get off their technology, I like to refer back to something my mom used to say, monkey see, monkey do. If you're constantly on your technology, you are only setting the stage for them to constantly be on technology. Have some house rules when it comes to technology and social media and internet. Power down, maybe at mealtime. Be reasonable about it. Talk to them with words out of your mouth, and make sure that their ears are open and they respond with words out of their mouth. Don't assume that some software technology you could buy for $100 is going to take care of this for you, because it's not. Because when they built that 6 months ago, there's been 20,000 things that come out since that they didn't account for, they don't know about. But they'll be happy to take your money. Is it a part of the solution? Maybe. But what happens if you just talk to them about it? Hey, I noticed that you're having a fight with so-and-so. It kind of started with a comment from last week. What's that all about? Keep everything that has internet access in a public zone. And what I mean by that is kitchen table, living room. Not the game room, not the backyard, not the pool, not the bedrooms, not the media room. Just in a public area. I will tell you 9 times out of 10, if not higher, whenever I'm dealing with an investigation, I swear, everything starts at 9:01 p.m. and ends around 3 a.m. If we're able to take away the internet from 9 to 3 a.m., cyberbullying wouldn't exist. Because Johnny and Sally went to bed with their phone in their bag or their pocket. You assume because they're being quiet, they're doing nothing, and they are automatically online doing whatever they want. Doors closed, lights are off. Why are they always so tired the next day? Well, because they didn't go to bed until 1 in the morning. They can watch movies, television, music, books, homework. I'm doing homework. Leave me alone. I just don't want to deal with all you guys watching TV. Just give me the tablet. I'm going to go to my bedroom and do my homework. Really? With Google, your homework's done in 5 minutes. You aren't learning anything. You're just copying and pasting everyone else's stuff. You don't need to be on there for 5 hours. We know that. We're adults. Because what do we do at work? You know what? I bet someone else has done this. Send. Be mindful. You set the example of being kind. When you see something that doesn't exist, or that shouldn't exist, or that's going down the wrong path, be that hands-on parent. Don't do it in a public forum. Do not be the parent that gets on Instagram and says something. Because remember, to them, that is their friend circle. That's the same as if we were to gather all of your high school friends, put them in a room like this. Mom walks in, you're sitting here, and she goes, okay, everybody, this is what happened. And that's why she or he's in trouble. Did you just destroy their whole social network? Imagine if that were to be the case, because that's what we do now. Matthew, I just saw your post. I am very dissatisfied. I'm going to see you when we get home. And you're like, awesome, my 1,000 followers just saw that. Hashtag busted. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. You public shamed me. You actually did something that you're wanting to prevent. You public shamed me on an open forum. No. Take a different road. See it, screenshot it, write it down, do whatever you want. And when the emotions are low, when your emotions are low, have that conversation with your coworker. Hey, I noticed this is what was said. What's going on? You're better than that. You're smarter than that. Tell me what happened. How did they evoke this emotion out of you? Because I've never seen you say things like this before. It concerns me. I want to make sure that your college goals that we've talked about are still an opportunity for you. I want to make sure that your goals with that hobby, with that music, with that scholarship, with whatever, can still happen. This, I'm a little disappointed. But I want to hear your side of the story. I want to know what it took for you to get that angry. So there are some options when it comes to technology. One, you can contact your providers. Hey, I have 4 numbers on this account. I'd like 2 of those numbers to be minimized down to this amount of gigabytes, this amount of minutes. As a matter of fact, there are some companies now creating time limits. After 9 p.m., I want the phone to only be able to dial these 3 numbers. Excuse me, these 3 numbers, and 911 is one. There are also cell phone monitoring apps where whenever they log in, they can send you updates. So you're getting blown up all day at work. My son just ate a sandwich. He didn't like it. He just drank some water. He liked it. Contact your service provider and create limitations when it comes to like data, minutes, and other things. And that's something you guys already battle because you're having to pay an overage on the bills. So that's something you already know about. And then, the crew de com. Do not purchase the latest and greatest phone. There is no reason for this little boy right here to have this phone.
No, yeah.
But Mom, what happens if there's some violence at school? I need to call 911.
That one.
You know what, sweetheart? That is true. You're in middle school now. You're in 6th grade now. You're in 5th grade now. We should get you a phone. And in the back of their head, they're thinking, iPhone, yeah. Let's go to the store right now, we'll buy it. We'll get you. And you walk in, Verizon's good with this, and you say, you know what, my son or daughter, I'm gonna add them to my plan. I need to get them a phone. What free phones do we have right now? And they're thinking, because they saw a commercial about the new iPhone 6 Plus, getting a 6 Plus. And they go, here you go. And there's a screen that opens up, and you go, perfect. How much does it cost? Free. Even better. Activate it. There you go. And then they throw their hissy fit because they thought they were getting the newest and greatest. And you go, whoa, 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 you said you needed a phone for emergencies. Do you want to see if that phone works? Because my number's in there already. Go ahead and call me. Oh, hold on. Hello, sweetheart. Yeah, the phone works. Is there no, there's no emergency? You hate my guts. Okay. But the phone works? Perfect. Love you too. You just eliminated the whole concern about access to things that don't need to be accessed. Don't let them leverage safety as the reason why they need the newest, greatest thing. This is the most powerful computer I've ever owned. As a matter of fact, combine every computer I've ever owned into one, this is still more powerful, including my last iPhone on top of it, because this is even more powerful. And I see these in 4th graders' hands. Because Mommy and Daddy got the new 6 Plus and said, well, obviously this is outdated. Let me erase a bunch of stuff and be like, there you go. It's a piece of junk. Don't lose it though. I might need it as my backup phone. And I see them walking around everywhere. 7 billion people on this planet now have access to your son or daughter. Something you need to think about. But there's some help along the way. There are laws now in California. These bottom 2 have been around for decades. This is not new. That is new as of January 1st, 2014. 5 years ago, I believe the cyberstalking code came up. And then we have our educational codes, which is where the teachers, principal, and admin deal with. And the newest would be that one on the bottom. At the same time, I now have the ability to arrest people for cyberbullying. The schools now have a specific code to help enforce rules. No lies, no jokes, no exaggeration. When I've done investigations on cyberbullying, the youngest investigation on consequences has come to a 4th grade girl. She was expelled from her school. She cannot go back to Irvine Unified School District. The actions of what she created when she was 9 can potentially ripple down and change the outcome of her college opportunities. Because how do you explain on your college interview that Irvine Unified School District expelled you for cyberbullying?
So it's not just the school, it's the whole region, the whole district.
Yeah. You can no longer, you're expelled. Find a new place. You're on your own. This can quickly snowball. Cyberbullying is something where you take 2 electronic devices, communicate in a way where it is perceived as hate, hurtful, mean, picking on, over a frequency of time, a small amount of time, from one person to another. You qualify for this infraction. I can give a citation, a ticket for that. Cyber stalking, though, when 2 people are fighting and or bullying each other, or one person constantly bullies another, if there's a small amount of time with constant conversation, and you say, hey, stop, leave me alone, and you don't, that now starts to crawl into the crime of stalking. You're constantly berating, harassing, annoying. And I started using words that fall into this. Phone calls is not legitimate or literal. It is a phrase. The law is written out any electronic device. Phone calls is not the only definition. We've gone from bullying because that person won't leave them alone to stalking because it's annoying and harassing and they've been told to stop. They don't. We're now at a misdemeanor crime. And the moment someone says, I'm going to hurt, kill, punish, destroy you, your friends, your property, felony, criminal threat. We just snowballed into a felony, and now I can't walk away as an officer. Yes?
Are these crime penal codes also valid for the 40-year-old girl that you just mentioned?
In California, the way the law is written, you have to be 13 or older for these laws to start to apply. A 9-year-old girl, not going to qualify for me, but for the school,
I see.
she fell into this category,
I see.
got rid of her.
What kind of time is it?
Well, we go to court, so the court decides. I just enforce the rules. Judges, they ultimately will be the decision factor in the jury. So I'm not going to leave you high and dry without resources. My best friend is Google. Whenever I deal with something I don't know about, I Google it. If you're more of a Yahoo fan, Yahoo or Bing. Understand this is a business. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. All of these companies do not want to lose your son or daughter. They don't want to lose you as a customer. They want you to stay around because they make a lot more money. So they will give you ways to understand this. But do you think it is very easy to find? Not as easy as you might think. And do they make it real easy to comprehend? For the most part. But if you're completely unaware of these things, it could be difficult. I know whenever I've tried to help parents, I pull it up on my phone and I'm like, I think we're supposed to do this? And we try it, and I'm like, okay, that didn't do anything. Let's try this, and it finally starts to work. Another thing is prepare your kids. Here are some websites that you can learn from, but your kids can. This one specifically is the Boys and Girls Club of America. I have that one in the trifold. It actually is an opportunity for your son or daughter to practice. And it's kind of like Sesame Street style. You try a path, it kind of gives you the wrong path. It's a learning point, you back up, and you go down another path. There's videos, interactive. Pretty fun. Some final thoughts. Mr. Albert Einstein, one of the smartest men to ever walk this planet, said this way before the internet was used by public, way before computers were a mainstream, way before cell phones existed, satellites were in the sky, before social media was even created. And I have a fear very similar to his. Because we now have a generation coming through here that is technologically so far advanced that they're getting so smart, they're done. They've lost common sense and communication skills. They are not seeing what's right and wrong anymore, they're just seeing what's popular, or what they think is popular. And one last thought. Technology is only technology to those who are born before it. To us, social media, internet is technology, because we remember a time it didn't exist. This gentleman over here, with that gentleman, and that gentleman over there, it's just life. If you ever have any questions, I'm not a shy man, although I appear that way.